Phenomenal. That's the only way to explain the response to last month. Over 2,400 calls on our reconstructions alone and over 1,000 more on the other cases. 5 arrests so far as a direct result, and in 4 other cases, Crimewatch viewers helped. One was a huge inquiry into serial rapes. More results are likely to follow.
One of the biggest police inquiries ever is now underway, involving 3 forces headed by a commander in the Met. It's reviewing dozens of offences committed in recent years, and so far at least 10 have been positively linked, including some that we've featured before on Crimewatch. They're rapes and other sexual crimes, and though there are differing descriptions, it's now highly possible one man has been responsible for a large number of stranger rapes in London and the south of England. And yet, as you'll hear, some of his victims regard him as pathetic.
It's a disgrace for the male sex, to be honest, to go and think that they can take away something they can't have, really, of a woman.
I think he's a very sick man. A violation of any kind is not right, but when it's done like that, it's just sick.
The first of the crimes we'll show you may have been simply opportunist. This is Brighton in Sussex 4 months ago. At closing time, 2 young couples and an older couple, all in high spirits, were leaving the Sutherland Arms. They may be important witnesses. We know that 2 women were separately walking past. And there must have been someone else around as well.
Jason!
Oh, hi there. I can't get in. Can you see if you can unlock it?
Yeah.
Oh, you've broken the key. Well, I'm going to the phone. In the phone box around the corner from home. I'm locked out. Well, tell her I called. Yeah, bye. Bye.
Did you see Jason? Do you know Jason?
No, I don't.
Well, if you see him, don't tell him you saw me, because I've got a problem with him.
You're not going to fight him, are you?
Yeah.
Don't fight.
It's not Jason I want, it's you. Walk down here.
I want to go. I want to go home.
Shut up, or I'll kill you. This isn't rape. It's not rape.
But it was rape. He was threatening enough to get her to submit without a struggle, and after that, he actually seemed to want his victim to like him. As her ordeal finished around midnight on that Saturday night, someone was walking his dog. Was this you?
Don't breathe a word of this to anyone. And don't tell that man with the dog.
Two days later, the man was in Southend, and this is a place he seems to know, at least at weekends. On the early hours of Bank Holiday Monday, the 31st of August, he raped a 15-year-old in a car park off Eton Road. 2 weeks later, he was prowling round the centre of Southend. At the same time, a couple were heading towards the Queensway underpass.
I was late, I know, but it's no big deal. All right, I'll say it if you like. I'm sorry, all right?
Well, why didn't you say it 10 minutes ago?
Sometimes we can have a good day, sometimes we'll have a bad day, but we need to argue to keep it going in a way. But I don't think we needed it that night.
For God's sake, I said I was bloody sorry.
Well, I don't believe you. Anyway, sorry's just not good enough.
Why don't you grow up?
Takes 2, you know.
Even from the first day we started going out, I never let her go home by herself. It's just in my genes. My mum told me that, my dad told me it.
I'll kill you. Leave my bird alone!
What?
Leave Jason Adams alone! He's paid me to come after you. Leave Jason Adams alone!
I don't understand. You got the wrong person.
Don't go to the police, understand? Good boy.
He was very broad-cheeked. His hair was short and sort of standing up on his head. I noticed that he had rather pointy canines, but they were perfectly white, they were perfectly straight. He didn't dress weirdly, he didn't sound weird at all. Didn't even look weird. Just looked like a normal everyday bloke. I've had bad dreams about things and that it could have gone worse, that I've been a face in the wall and I've not been able to reach out and do anything. Or it goes further and he actually gets raped.
About an hour later, about a mile away.
I was pegging it along home. At that time, there was people coming out of the Palace Theatre. I had my umbrella and I was just eager to get home. I saw a man running in the rain and he wasn't wearing a coat, so I didn't really think much of it. I just thought he's running to get out of the rain.
The ground floor of this house in Beadle Avenue had been boarded up for years, and the garden isn't used. Had he discovered it by chance?
When somebody's threatening to kill you, you don't even think about trying to escape. Your life is on the line, and if you do value life, which I'm sure most people do, you want to keep going. Dragged me to the side into the alley, asked for my money, and I thought that was going to be it. I just thought it was a case of mugging. I gave him what I had, which was my wages, which I'd picked up that night. I thought that would be it, but he continued. You know, I was just about naked, so I was wet, I was cold, I was shivery, and the ground was cold. You get some sick people out there thinking, well, she got raped, what does that matter, you know? Everybody has sex. But it's not like that. I haven't been with anyone for a long time, and I've been saving myself for the right person that comes along. But nobody has the right to force themselves on you like that.
The attack ended sometime before midnight, but after the last train, so the rapist must have left Southend by road. 4 hours later, he was on the borders of Marylebone and St John's Wood in northwest London, another place he seems to know.
When you're a night shift worker, that time of night is like 6 o'clock in the afternoon. It doesn't seem like the middle of the night to me. I just feel perfectly safe.
Are you all right?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Well, if you need the lift, that cab office is right over there.
Yeah, cheers.
The man was Asian, balding and polite. Who was he? He may be a crucial witness.
Anyone who comes up to you at that time in the morning it's just not the done things that he thinks, leave me alone and I'm perfectly all right.
The woman headed up St John's Wood High Street and onto St Anne's Terrace. There was another witness there we need to trace. It's now 4 in the morning.
She gave the impression of being quite well built, possibly Middle Eastern, quite pale skin, but otherwise very dark hair. I heard a noise as if someone had kicked a bottle behind me. I immediately turned and looked to see if he looked dodgy. He was quite young, wearing a sort of a light coloured top with stripes on it, a kind of a rugby top. I turned round after I'd gone a little bit further just to check that he wasn't following me, and I couldn't see anybody. And I thought, fine, no problem, and I continued walking up towards Swiss Cottage along Ordnance Hill. As I walk around at that time, I'm quite aware of people behind me. It was wet and I didn't even hear the squelch of the trainer.
There are two things I don't want you to do. The first is to scream or shout, and the second is to run away.
When he made me go into the garden, I didn't realise that it was an empty house. So I thought the people that lived in the house would come out at any second. I really did. When he had his arm around my neck, he did hurt me. That was really painful. It was painful for quite a while afterwards, too. The taxi pulled up and you could hear the murmur of voices in the background. Sounded like someone coming home after being out for the evening or paying the taxi and driving off. Must have been someone who lived somewhere there. He talked to me afterwards for about 3/4 of an hour. I thought, if this is what it takes for him to let me go, I'm going to let him talk. I'm going to let him talk as much as he wants to talk.
Why do you do this?
You must be really angry. You must really hate me. You mustn't want to be standing here with me holding you.
He said, as you're walking away, don't turn round. He said, just don't turn round. So I didn't. I just walked away. I thought, why take the risk now? I'm almost away. What am I going to do if I turn around and he's there behind me?
Paddy, these attacks are so prolific. There could be dozens of women who've been attacked, haven't reported it, or perhaps have been approached by this man, haven't been raped and haven't reported it.
That's right, Nick. I would urge any woman who feels that she may have been a victim of this man or an attempted attack by this man to come forward. It's a terrifying experience, and we know this man has tried to terrify his victims with threats, but I assure any woman of our full support and the support of specially trained officers. We need her help to prevent another woman becoming a victim of this attacker.
We've shown 2 different EFITs, and the trouble is with so many victims, there are so many different descriptions, but we've got 2 you're fairly happy with. They're slightly different. What do you know about his appearance?
Yeah, he's described as a white man, 5'8" to 5'10" tall, in his 20s to 30s. He's described as being of solid, athletic build and having dark brown hair, wavy on the top and shorter at the sides.
Quite square, chiselled features, some have described.
That's right. In terms of the EFITs, the general shape of the face is the one you see on the right of the screen there, the general shape, but having the angularity of features, the chiselled features, as you say, of that on the left.
How would friends or relatives recognise his behaviour from what you know?
He's well groomed, manicured, as described by one victim. He keeps late hours, and on 1 or 2 occasions he may have come home with scratches to his hands or to his face where a victim has put up a struggle. It may be that he has previous convictions for sexual offences, violence or dishonesty.
Where do you think he lives? I mean, are you able to put at least a focus on this? There does seem to be a whole series of attacks in northwest London, sort of Kentish Town area round to Marylebone, then round to Essex. Any idea where he comes from or where he's got friends?
We can't say where he lives. He's clearly able to travel quite considerable distances, but he's clearly got connections with those areas. He's familiar with the areas. He may have friends there. He may work there or have worked there. He may have grown up there.
You're appealing particularly to victims to come forward, anybody who thinks that they may have been approached by him. Who else tonight do you really appeal to?
I'd particularly appeal to mothers, partners, wives, girlfriends, to think about the description of the man we've given this evening, to think about the description of his habits, and if they think this matches someone they know, to please come forward. We can eliminate this man from our inquiries very quickly.
All right, thanks very much indeed. Do please call 0500 600 600, live here to the studio. Once the names are in, as Paddy says, it's easy to eliminate and it's better to be safe than sorry. This man will go on until he's caught. Other detectives are standing by in the combined incident room. That's on 0800 389 2873. That's free phone, 0800 389 2873.
Benefit fraud costs the country billions and makes things tougher for the poorest in our society. But now for a useful double whammy. If you can help us name this benefit fraudster, you may help catch a burglar too. He's presenting a benefit book taken from a house in the Wavertree area of Liverpool. Other things were stolen at the same time, including Yemeni jewellery like this. If you've been offered any of these items, or if you think you know this benefit cheat, call us here on 0500 600 600 and the incident rooms on 0151 777 5390. That's Liverpool 777 5390. And have you seen these two? They were arrested and bailed after a bungled but terrifying armed robbery. It involved a handgun. It happened in Redhill, Surrey earlier this year. Lloyd Brooke and Cassius Walker have since disappeared. Both use other names including Redding and Anderson. Lloyd Brooke is 25, 5'10", stocky with blue eyes and brown hair. Cassius Walker is 10 years older, 5'9", medium build with cropped hair, and he has moles on his face and several scars, including one on the bridge of his nose and one on his right eyebrow. If you recognise either of them, 0500 600 600 or call direct on 01737 765 040. That's Redhill 765 040.
4 months ago, there was a single incident on Tyneside in which a horrifying level of violence was used against two sisters. One was 86, the other 94. It took place in the Fenham district of Newcastle, and there must be people watching who'll know the offender, and they'll certainly shop him when they see what he did.
Make sure they don't eat it all at once, okay?
As a rule, the ice cream man brings it along because my sister, she can't walk hardly, no, she's got a stick. But the lad next door brought it in.
There you go.
Thank you. Oh, lovely.
Is that big one there, that for Hannah?
Uh-huh. Well, you know her.
I'll see you later. Ta-da.
Ta-da.
It was about 4:30. I got to the bottom of the street and there was this man coming down on Baxter Avenue on the other side. He looked a bit funny because he was just keep staring at me all the time. He was about 6 foot. He had a black jacket on, trainers on, he had blue jeans, and he had short hair with a little bit of fringe at the front. As I was going in the shop, he was just keep looking all the time. He wouldn't take his eyes off us. He looked suspicious. I waited, I was about in the shop for about 5 minutes. I wanted to see what he was going to do or get up to. As the bus came along, and I tried to get a look at him. I couldn't, but he had his hands in his pockets 1 minute and he was taking them out the next. But it looks as if he had something in his pocket. I couldn't really make out what it was.
Oh, be careful, Hannah. You might burn yourself. As if I would. Were you expecting anybody? Not that I know of. Perhaps I should have set the table for 3. We don't get that many guests these days.
Get down and stay down, you hear it? Whatever you've got, I want it. The money. Understand? The money, where is it?
You have no idea what I suffered. He nearly kicked us to death. Nearly kicked us to death. I've never seen anything, never think in all my life, I've never thrown anybody, give you anybody a kick the way I got kicked. Never.
Martha? Martha?
The money. I want the money. I'm not messing about here.
My sister just had a stroke, you know, and I had a heart attack. We were just starting to pull ourselves together just before this happened. When I seen him kicking her along the floor, he kicked her all the way. I don't know how he done it. Right to the fireplace.
Oh, God. Why are you doing this?
I told you, I want the money now.
Hey, I thought, yeah, God, if you'd seen her face was flat on the ground like that. And the kicking, oh, them great big feet. And he put his foot in the middle of her back and he kicked over the other one. Oh, and there wasn't a thing I could do to help her. Not a thing.
You either tell us where the money is, or I'll cut your throat!
When I seen the knife, I thought he was going to kill her.
Right!
He was like a madman. And I thought, if he puts that on my face, I'll suffocate.
The chip pan, the house will burn down.
I never took my eyes off him. In fact, it was my sister I was thinking about. I was frightened. I didn't know what else he was going to do.
Right, I've had it with you two. I'm sick of you pissing me about. I want everything you've got. Where is it? That's not enough. Where's the money?
He went away into the rooms and he pulled all the tablecloths out, all the tea towels, anything he could pull out the drawers, he was pulling them out, and there was a mountain of stuff. And when he was going away, he was as calm as you like. I would like you to put him on the ground, kick him the way I see my sister kicked. I would, honest, and I hope he gets jail for life.
It was roughly around about 5 o'clock-ish, and I heard like a scraping of the gate. But I'm more or less sure I seen the guy a few weeks before, and so I thought he must have been like a door-to-door salesman. And once he started walking up the street, I just got back on with what I was doing, and I just thought nothing more of it.
Oh, dear God. Martha.
Around the same time, a man ran from the direction of Greywood Avenue towards Lotus Place. He found it was a cul-de-sac and sprinted back out onto Cedar Road and off towards Two Ball Lomond.
Help me. Someone, please. Someone, help me. Please. Please, you over there. Please. You over there, help me.
What's the matter, Pet?
He's been in and he's beaten our Martha to bits.
Who has?
What he's done, it's terrible. He's really hurt our Martha.
I had 5 stitches here, I had 2 broken ones here, 4 here, and I've got a fractured arm. Could be worse. Could have been dead.
The intruder is obviously someone who will use violence again. Please call and tell us who he is. 0500 600 600. That's free call, 0500 600 600, direct here to the studio, or 0191 221 8375. That's Newcastle, 221 8375 for other detectives standing by on Tyneside.
Calls to Crimewatch work. If you watched last month, you'll recall Operation Quicksilver, a huge inquiry by Northamptonshire police into a series of rapes that went back to 1984. The attacks had stopped about 1990. Programme, an officer was suspicious of a man he was interviewing. Further inquiries are made, tests were done. The man has now been charged with 4 counts of rape.
DNA screening is also underway in Essex following last month's programme. We showed how simple elimination tests can be, and that's what's happening now. They received 800 calls on the child sex attacks, providing around 300 names. Well, it could take months before all the results are back, but the investigating officer says he is optimistic the right name is in there. Yet more tests, this time in Humberside. A man has been charged with the killing of Samantha Class, a prostitute from Hull whose body was dumped in the River Humber. This arrest was not a result of our appeal. He'd been stopped on a routine drink driving check. Other arrests since last month include 3 for deception, 1 for serious drug offences, and a man charged with robbery. But police still haven't found this man, though we did trace 2 of his associates. Now, he may call himself Jeffrey Davidson. Call us if you've seen him.
And we've another man who couldn't have imagined he was being videoed. He's an arsonist, and here he is about to destroy a picturesque cottage just outside Bognor Regis in Sussex. Quite why is a mystery, but there's been 2 earlier attempts, which is why surveillance cameras were installed. And here's the damage that he caused. He's very recognisable. All we need from you is his name and address. 0500 600 600, or you can call the Sussex Police direct on 01243 843 418. That's Bognor Regis, 843 418. And next, can you tell us where this man is tonight? He's Richard Davenport and may have vital information about the murder 10 days ago of John Beardmore. He was found stabbed to death in his flat in Walsall, West Midlands. Richard Davenport is described as a loner. He's 5'10", slim-built and with a Midlands accent. You may see him in a gay bar or amusement arcade, possibly in London. 0500 600 600, or the incident room on 01922 439 010. That's Warsaw, 439 010.
CIT is short for cash in transit, and each year we show perhaps 10 armed robberies or attempted robberies on armoured vans. With more money being moved around each year, the proportion stolen is probably actually declining. Security is usually that good. But here's a case where a gang succeeded. They were armed, they were ruthless. It happened 2 months ago in Lichfield.
I've admitted to everybody that I like younger blokes. I was attractive to him, and that's why I looked at him more than anybody else.
Yes, we do, I'm telling you. Top of the Premiership, the Blues, a couple of years from now.
Oh, dream on. What can I get you?
3 pence a Guinness, please, Pet. You a football supporter, then?
Of course, best team in the country, Birmingham.
You can't pardon myself.
Oh, aye.
I kept glancing over,
Not for sale.
And they've all got the cross.
but no, there was no way this bloke was going to have eye contact with me or even talk to me.
Were these men in fact connected with the robbery, or do you know otherwise? Monday evening, the 26th of October, in the Lichfield George and Dragon. Was one of these men you? Or were you next morning at 9:30 driving a G-registered grey Rover 213 down Beacon Street and onto Anson Avenue? And moments later, did you too see a young blonde man?
Looking around and seeing what he was doing made me suspicious of him. I thought, I'll hang on a bit and see what happens. Next minute, he carried on down towards Safeways, surveying the area around where the roads lead to.
2 days later, Thursday, October the 29th. This is the Safeway in Beacon Street. Soon afterwards, this woman entered the store. Was she connected with the robbery? Or was she an ordinary shopper? Was this you? Then, 3 men came in, one at a time.
Stay there. You, open the box. I said open it! Do as he says, Max.
At about 3:05, I noticed there was a white Metro with a wave-type design. An attractive young blonde girl sitting in the seats. She looked quite nervous, quite edgy.
Don't go getting any fancy ideas, all right?
At around 3:20 that Thursday, this couple came in as 2 of the robbers went out, and they noticed them. Detectives need these shoppers to come forward.
I got a good look at them. The first was in his mid to late 20s, maybe early 30s. He was about 5'10", had an athletic build and was clean shaven, with blonde hair cut short at the sides. He was thin-featured with a square jaw, a bit of an Adam Faith look-alike. The second man was in his late 20s to early 30s. A stocky build with a full round face, short dark hair and heavy stubble. You know, like a 5 o'clock shadow. The pair of them headed down the side of the building. I didn't see where to. And then about a minute later, a third one appeared. His movements were very slow and deliberate. I'd describe him as 5'11", thick-set build with a round face, thick lens glasses, a moustache and neat, short, dark hair. There could have been a family resemblance between him and the second man.
Did you see how the gang made off? There's a very big reward. These guys meant business, and people need protecting from them in the future. Please do call And if it was you sitting in a maroon Montego like this one on a Thursday in mid-October, a couple of weeks before the robbery, well, there were 3 men and a woman in the car. Was that you, or do you recognise these 3 men? If you can help in any way, 0500 600 600 here to the studio. There is, as I said, a very substantial reward. Or you can call Staffordshire Police on 01785 234 951. That's Stafford 234 951.
Well, as you can see tonight, the phones are very busy. The majority, in fact, most of the calls so far have been on Operation Monarch, that series of rapes and serious sexual assaults in London and the south of England. These are just a few of them. One here is from a lady who said that she was stalked in Brighton by a man fitting the same description. Paddy Tompkins, you're in charge of the operation. How has this moved the inquiry on tonight?
We had a very encouraging response so far, Jill. Over 80 calls, several lines of inquiry for us, but I'm particularly encouraged that some women who have been attacked previously have felt able to come forward and give us details. And we're following that up as a matter of urgency.
Now, some calls have suggested that the man may be an estate agent because he knows a lot of the empty houses in these areas. Would you take that seriously?
It's something we've got to consider, but that sort of response is often common where we have a situation involving empty houses because of people rightly identified. Estate agents would be conscious of that.
Well, let's hope one call tonight reveals that name you need. Thank you.
Look out for this escaped convict who walked out of an open prison. Darren Mark Fikert was jailed for trafficking in cocaine. He's 28, average height, but stocky, going fat and heavily tattooed. You name it, in fact, he's got a tattoo there. Here he is on camera. Darren Fikert has connections in London and Luton and may be driving a black Land Rover Discovery. 0500 600 600, or you can call the incident room on 01323 414 023. That's Eastbourne 414 023. This is Tony Rickey, or more formally, Anthony Lewis Rickey, and here he is splashing out in the West Indies. But back home in Blackpool, we're keen to ask him about a major drugs operation. We know he's back from holiday, maybe in the Manchester area. Do call if you know where he is tonight. 0500 600 600, or you can call the incident room on 01253 607 272. That's Blackpool 607 272.
Crimewatch viewers have always turned up trumps, suggesting names even where the clues are very weak. In several cases, missing people or murder victims have been identified from clothing or plaster models recreated from skeletons. Well, tonight we have a new way of showing evidence, and that is a technique pioneered by Glasgow University to recreate how someone used to look. Well, in August, a man's badly decomposed body was found in woods near Loch Lomond. It was just off the A82, which runs from Glasgow to Fort William. The Forensic Medicine Department at Glasgow has created computer graphics. It's a 3D representation of what the man would have looked like. And here he is. Well, he's about 24 to 32, around 5'9". He was dressed as a hill walker, but he had no backpack or documents. Well, Ian Whitelaw, it is a mystery. I mean, hopefully tonight someone will recognise that face, but there are other clues, aren't there?
Yes, that's right. During the post-mortem, the pathologist found some tattoos, very distinctive tattoos, which were recreated for us by a local artist. The first one shows a Bengal tiger, which was on his left forearm. The second one shows a black panther entwined with a green and yellow snake, and that was on his right forearm. The other 2 tattoos are tribal bands, which are also known as Mendes in the tattoo trade and are very popular with the younger generation.
Would you say? Certainly distinctive. And there was also a wristwatch.
That's right. We found this Tag Heuer wristwatch, which unfortunately proved later on to be a fake, so there's no clues there.
Now, as you say, he was dressed as a hill walker, wearing a jacket something like this, these sort of colours, but
Yes.
it was more of a sort of a cagoule,
Yes,
wasn't it?
appearance.
Now, was there anything suspicious about his death, do you think?
No, that was ruled out at a very early stage at the first post-mortem, and confirmed at a subsequent examination, which was carried out by an anthropologist.
So no foul play, it could have been natural death, or he could have committed suicide.
Yes.
How did he get there? Because he had no car, no tent, no documents on him either.
That's right. We did find some cash in his pocket, which consisted mainly of Bank of England notes, so that could perhaps be an indication that he had travelled up from south of the border.
And possibly hitchhiked.
Yes, that it was found next to the A82 Loch Lomond side road, which is very popular with hitchhikers, and it's quite possible he has used this form of transport.
You believe that his death occurred around about the end of July, so
Yes.
someone must know who this man was. Please help tell us who he is. 0500 600 600, or you can call the local police on 01389 822 000. That's Dumbarton 822 000.
Now to London and a one-man whirlwind of crime. The man's in his early 30s and he's robbed off licences at knife point over the last 6 weeks. They call him the Rizzler robber because he often asks for Rizzler cigarette papers before lunging at the shopkeeper. He's 5'10" to 6 foot, broad-shouldered with a pasty complexion and seems dirty or untidy. He targets premises in the west and southwest of London. If you know who he is or where he is, please call 0500 600 600 or 0181 247 7031. That's 0181 247 7031. And by a lousy piece of bad luck, one of those off licences had been robbed before, this time by a man wielding a machete. Back in July, this 6-footer went berserk in Acton. Thankfully, no one was injured, but the way the blade was brandished, someone could easily have been killed. The attacker was about 30, medium build with stubble and a local London accent. But his most distinctive feature is his hair. He had dreadlocks down to his waist. If you've seen him, give us a call on 0500 600 600 or call local police on 0181 246 9733. That's 0181 246 9733.
Well, some crimes are so intimidating, they've made staff too frightened to go to work, and the result is that at least one building society branch has closed down, leaving the village without a bank of any sort. The attacks involve one man who, for all his amateurish approach, may be very dangerous.
Keep an eye on your mirror. There's some people behind you. Oh, hang on. No. Hang on, that's it, right.
Well, when he first walked in, I just thought, oh no, and I was absolutely terrified. I thought if I didn't do as he said, he'd use the gun. He shouted, get the drawers open, get the tills open, and he was really threatening. I just remember him saying, come on, it's only money. And he became more aggressive towards me, saying, I want your safe, I want your backup money.
Check your mirror. Look ahead.
Looks a bit suspicious. Look over here. Looks like he's up. Looking up.
Okay, description.
The gunman disappeared behind the Methodist Church on Forest Street. 6 days later in Northwich, you may recall that the bridge was closed for repairs.
Yes, certainly. Thank you. Mum's just going in to see the lady, all right? Very nicely, which we'll have to.
Mrs. Robinson,
yes.
would you like to come this way?
I won't be a minute. See you later.
Cameras in the Britannia Building Society next to the Cheshire catch the suspect walking past.
Put the money in the bag. Put the money in the bag. Come on, hurry up. You've got 10 seconds every till. 10, 9, 8, 7. Hurry up. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
No. Come on. Come on, sweetheart. Come on. See what I've got round here.
I think you're such a coward to hide behind your mask and behind your gun and do that to people.
Keep back! Keep back!
I was struck by his youth and the fact that he was very thin and he had dark, curly hair.
The man obviously knows Northwich. He ducked round alleyways rather than go straight down the high street.
I don't really know whether I'd have followed him if I'd been aware that he'd been robbing the Building Society and had a gun. I just followed him sort of instinctively.
The gunman turned into a car park off Leicester Street.
I was expecting him to come out in a car, and consequently I was intending to take his registration number. He never appeared. I felt a mixture of sort of disappointment and relief that the pursuit was over.
Nasty man's gone now, hasn't he? Eh? Yeah, he's gone now.
Please don't hesitate if you know who the gunman is. There is a reward, by the way. And who was this man seen on the morning of the robbery, Wednesday the 2nd of September? 0500 600 600 or phone the Cheshire Police on 01244 612 999. That's Chester 612 999.
We've been simply overwhelmed so far on calls from Operation Monarch, the sex attacks in London, the south of England. Well over 250 calls, well over 100 names so far. 2 women have reported being victims of a very similar man. Attacks not yet reported. We've had 2 women reporting relatives of theirs, a great deal more coming in. And we've had one interesting name and a possibility for the man who was found dead on the banks of Loch Lomond. Now, finally, you might have read about our next appeal already. Children called Jade and Hannah, who've gone missing with their foster parents, Geoffrey and Jennifer Bramley. The children were due to be handed back to Cambridgeshire Social Services in September, but Mr. and Mrs. Bramley failed to return them. Here are 3 of them at a sports day. The case has been called a tug of love, though for the children, of course, it must seem more like a tug of war. Mr. and Mrs. Bramley, if you're watching, please go to a police station. You can't spend your whole lives on the run, and you know it's not fair on Jade or Hannah. Don't spend Christmas as fugitives. And if you've seen any of these 4, please call us. They might have this blue Honda Concerto, registration G152 SHR. You can call the police direct on 01 480 422 948. That's Huntingdon 422 948. Or of course you can call us here live in the studio 0500 600 600.
Do keep the calls coming if you've anything to add. We'll be here until midnight, and you'll also see other numbers in a moment. They're listed on CFAX on page 621. If you're a victim of crime, support line numbers are also on CFAX. You can email us at Crimewatch UK at the BBC, that's cwuk@bbc.co.uk. And on any crime at all, you can call Crime Stoppers anonymously, if you like, on 0800 555 111.
We'll be back with Crimewatch Update quite early tonight at 11:10. And please join us for a very special Crime Watch next month on Tuesday, January the 26th. I say very special because it'll be our 150th edition, an extended edition to celebrate some of what you, just by watching, have helped achieve. So don't have nightmares, do sleep well, and Happy Christmas.